coming, Mr. Wayne.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Really sorry I didn't post a video last week. I've been traveling. I was in Bangalore for a week. I was meeting my family. I was just taking a break. This video is going to be a continuation of the previous Q&A. We're going to be talking about movies again. A lot of different questions that you guys had sent in on Instagram about movies. So we're just going to chill and talk about all of that stuff. Today is Wednesday. I think it's the 10th of November. Right now, there's been a flood alert issued in Chennai. I don't know what's going to happen over the next 2 or 3 days. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to get to edit this video also because I don't know if we're going to have electricity or internet or I don't know what's going to happen. But anyways, if you're watching this right now, it means that everything is okay. Hopefully you guys are also safe. And if you are, get a drink, get some snacks and yeah, just chill and enjoy the video.
Venkatram asks, your favorite gripping thriller movies of all time. I don't know if you watched this film. It's a very underrated film. I don't know if it's underrated or not, but not many people talk about it. It's a movie called Heat. It's a intense cat and mouse thriller film. Robert De Niro on one side and Al Pacino on the other side. It's just a cop versus gangster kind of a chess game kind of a thriller, and there's one particular shootout scene that happens in the city. Just the sound design of that particular scene, you can hear the sound of the guns bouncing off the buildings, like echoing off the buildings. I wish I watched it in the theaters. In terms of thriller, David Fincher is God. I love Seven, I love Zodiac, I love Gone Girl to a huge extent. No Country for Old Men. Leave the ending aside, but I have never felt that much tension in a film. Uncut Gems recently. I don't know if it comes under the thriller category or not, but anxiety-inducing intensity. Nightcrawler is a what a movie. Nightcrawler is a great thriller. Does The Prestige come under thriller? I'm not sure, but if it does, then right up there, The Prestige. Venkat23 _ asked thoughts on Sardar Udham Singh. I just watched it earlier this week and I liked the film. I was pretty engaged with the film. I don't think it's the most entertaining, most engaging film of all time, but it can't be. It has to be a little difficult to watch, especially the last 45 minutes are so difficult. Necessarily difficult to watch. It'll just break you. It is something that all of us have to watch. It talks about a few things that we take for granted, the freedom that we take for granted, and how raising a voice for the right reasons is just kind of disappeared. The Smiling Assassin asks, bro, recommend me one movie on Netflix that I haven't watched. I'm someone who has never met you. I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about your life. But magically, I'm supposed to just go into your mind and look at your entire past, look at all of the history that you've deleted, and suggest you a film that you haven't watched yet.
The
Perpetual Kid, in a country like India, is it important to make films for entertainment or feed audience with quality content? I think in India, it is necessary to make films that release. When I look at Korea and Korean movies making it to Netflix in every single place, because they have such a huge support from the government also, and also the creators are making some great films. I've already made a video about Squid Game and the Korean wave. I'm going to leave it here. Right now, it seems like even before a film releases, someone has a problem with it. Some random person, some random political party, or I don't know who, everyone has a problem with something before something releases, and they go and beat up the crew, or they manhandle the crew, or they ban a film from its release. I don't know. I don't understand the concept. These are people part of political parties, and these are registered criminals, and these people are getting a voice. It just feels like it's easier to start a political party than it is to make a film in this country, and no one is there to question all of that. The government is behind sons and daughters of actors in the country, for whatever reason. I don't know what we want as a country anymore. I honestly don't know. It really feels like India wants to be unhappy for some reason. we don't want to progress, we don't want to go forward, we just want to find faults in what someone else is doing and try to bring it down, and movies are a big part of that. So let people make what they want to make, or at least make films, let it release, and then if there is some problem or something, there is a court and there's a legal system to decide that, I think, or if it exists, I don't know. Kirtana Nag Shetty asks, one movie that you always go to when you feel low. I usually revisit very old films, like films from the 90s. When I'm feeling low, I want to go to something familiar from my childhood. Recently, when I was feeling low, I started watching VIP. Such a well-made commercial film. Like, it just gives you so much joy and just takes your mind off from the rest of the world. Or films like Good Will Hunting, which is a film that is very, very, very close to me. Whenever I'm feeling low, I watch that. Into the Wild, I know the ending is not very optimistic, but the rest of the film, it just inspires you so much to go out there and, see the world instead of concentrating on all the problems that you think are problems that are, troubling your mind every day. I also watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood like 5 times last year when it came on Amazon Prime. I didn't think I was going to like that movie that much, but for some reason, because of the way it's made, because of the pace of the film, it feels like a meditative experience for me. So whenever I'm feeling low, I think I would revisit that film also. Ruby_Nevermind, your favorite score by Talewar, by AR Rahman. Very difficult to answer, but I think my favorite Rahman album has to be Rangila. I know a lot of you might be like, what the you're talking about. One of the most complete albums is Rangila for me. Rangila, Dil Se, Vinay Tandi Varvaya, Rockstar. I'm going to stick with these 4. Arun S asks, your favorite Kashyap film, your favorite Anurag Kashyap film. My favorite Anurag Kashyap film is, I love every film that he makes except the last few. But I love Gangs of Wasseypur, I love Black Friday, I love Ugly, I love all of that. But my favorite Anurag Kashyap film has to be Devdi. There's no other film with so much style. There is no other Hindi film with so much style. There is so much style packed into every single frame. And style, I don't mean like Rajni kind of style, but there's so much love, there's so much effort taken into creating that particular visual palette of that film. The neon lights and camera angles and just that song, just Pardesi, the picturization of Pardesi, just watch that, and it's trippy, it's meditative, it's so many things happening at the same time. And I love the aesthetic of that film, I love the music of that film, I love the way that it's structured into chapters like a Tarantino film, and I love how you've taken a story of a loser like Devdas and turned it into like a cult classic that we can relate to, like people of this particular age can relate to. Hari X17 asks, favorite amongst the Maniratnam love trilogy. What is the Maniratnam love trilogy? If you're talking about Maunaragam, Alaipayade, Okay Kanmani, for me, obviously it's Alaipayade. It's a film that I never understood when it released because I was like 9 or 10 years old. When it first came out, everyone was saying that it's Maniratnam's best film, all of that stuff. But I watched it years later and then I understood what the magic of that film really is. The music, the picturization, the way everything just flows so organically. And there's a group that will talk about stalking in Alaipayude and all. I don't want to get into that debate, but there is so much more to love about that film. The fact that a filmmaker decided to really go into the dynamics of a man and a woman, what happens after marriage, no one really talks about that. No one really showcases that. Every other commercial film just leads to a man and woman getting married and then after that, happily ever after. But most of the time, it's not like that. There is a lot of friction. There is a lot of misunderstanding when you're sharing a life together, and that's one single movie or one of the very few movies who've decided to showcase that part of a male-female relationship. So I think I can still go back to that film and really appreciate it for still remaining so fresh. Ananya Neil asks some underrated Tamil movies according to you. I think anything by Manigandan, like apart from Kaka Mutte, which got all the praise that it deserved, Andavan Kattale is most underrated. It's such a funny film that I don't know, it just disappeared out of nowhere. There is one more film that he made, Kutrame Dandane, which is a very Hitchcockian thriller film. I also think Kadalum Kadandu Pogum is another really underrated film. I don't know if it really got that much love that it deserved. It's such a casual, it's such a fun film to watch. You don't have to think about anything, and I really love Vijay Sethupathi in that film and that particular period, that whatever he was touching was turning into gold. Now he's just appearing in a lot of films, and most of the films are kind of disappointing. I really want that Vijay Sethupathi back. The Asna Mafika, I'm sorry if I'm murdering your name, but favorite movie about school days. One part of both these films are about school life, which is Premam and June. Two Malayalam films that I really like. There's also one film entirely about school life which is called Rockford. It's a pretty old film. I think it's from the late 90s or early 2000s. It's a film by Nagesh Kukunur. It's about this guy in a boarding school, and that's it. It's about boarding school life and all of the different mischiefs that a kid gets into while you're at boarding school. In English, I really liked Superbad. I don't care how inappropriate it's going to be if it releases now. I really don't care. But one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, Superbad is one. Dazed and Confused. It's about one day in the life of this particular school and kids of different ages. For some, it's the last day of their school. For some, it's the last day of before vacations begin. It's a movie about absolutely nothing, but it's extremely enjoyable. This is one more film that I always go back to when I feel really low. Dazed and Confused by Richard Linklater. Genius, who makes the best movies about people and nothing else. They don't have to have a story. There doesn't have to be any plot, but just even two people talking. Richard Linklater is the master of making movies out of just the dynamics between two different people. I Sri Hari asks your favorite Denis Villeneuve movie. Hands down, Arrival. I couldn't move after watching that movie on screen. Like, even while the credits were rolling down, I was just so shook. It broke me, and then it rebuilt me all over again. I'm really a fan of that kind of science fiction where there are aliens involved and all of that. But apart from Interstellar, there's no other film that's made me so emotional. Like, there's no other sci-fi film that's made me so emotional. So Arrival has to be my favorite Denis movie. Okay, next question by Nona Prince. Okay, Nona Prince is a great YouTuber. If you've not checked out his channel yet, please go check him out. He's one of the few North Indians who talks so passionately about regional cinema, mainly about Malayalam cinema. Please go check out his channel, subscribe, support him, do all of that. He has a very simple question. Favorite film of 2021? I think I'll have to say Karnan. This was one of the few films that I saw in the theaters, and during every second of the film, I was feeling something. Like, most films don't make you do that. Like, there was a constant sense of tension. There was a constant anger that was going towards me. I was actually abusing a few characters on screen, the police characters, whenever they came, and it really affected me for a long time. And someday, when I'm feeling a little more confident, I want to be talking about why that film affected me a lot. But for now, I think I'll just say it's my favorite film of 2021. It's one of my favorite Dhanush films of all time. The Astute Gada I don't know, I can't see the rest, but best action movie. I don't really watch too many action movies, but number one of all time, I will have to say The Matrix. Recently, I put out a poll on Twitter and Instagram on whether they've seen The Matrix, the first Matrix. I was so surprised that a lot of people haven't seen the movie. I don't know why. I don't know how such a landmark film can just be erased out of history. But if you've not watched The Matrix yet, please do me a favor, please do yourself a favor, please keep your phone away and watch The Matrix. You really need to see how strong storytelling is, how strong the hero's journey is. You'll get to see everything in that movie, and so many other Indian films, so many movies, so many filmmakers have copied from that one single film. So please go check out The Matrix. Gautam _Ram Kumar, I think that's his name. What do you think about the Tamil industry not utilizing OTT properly? Really, you don't think Tamil cinema is using OTT properly? Like, think about it in this aspect, right? Every crappy movie that they've made and they can't release in the theaters, which if you release in the theaters also, they won't get screens or no one is going to watch them. All of those crappy movies, they're just outright selling it to these OTT platforms which were struggling for content over the last 1.5 years, and they've just been dumping it week after week for us to watch. And it's not just Tamil cinema, a lot of Hindi cinema also, a lot of Telugu cinema also, a lot of whatever. Everyone is selling their movies to the OTT like vegetables. Most of it, 90% of the movies that are coming on OTT are like super mediocre. Some of the few really good Tamil movies that I've seen on OTT is Surare Potru, Sarpata Parambare. Both of these movies which were intended for the big screen, but unfortunately we had to watch it on the small screen. Other than that, just mediocre trash after trash. So in that aspect, I think the industry is utilizing the OTT space very, very well, just to sell off whatever dead stock is there. Harsh_Maddie7 asks, favorite Kamalasan movie? Okay, very, very, very difficult list to make, but I have two. Right at the top of my list is one is Nayagan. I've not seen any movie so many times. At one particular point of my life, I was watching Nayagan every day along with a friend of mine. The other film is Mahanadi. Just like Karnan that I mentioned, that film really made me so emotional with every single frame. I know whoever has seen Mahanadi will be able to relate to this. There is so much sadness, there is so much tragedy happening in every single scene. And at the end, though things get better, you don't know if things are better or not. So I love this movie mainly for the risk that Kamal takes with every single film of his. Like, he could have chosen to do anything. He could have chosen to make all the super hits that he was making in the 80s, in the 90s also, but he just decided to take like a different route. And just this film proves how committed he is to be different, to try to give the audience something new, even if he knows that it might not work. Mahanadi is really it's a symbol of Kamalasan, the genius of Kamalasan, and how really committed he is to his vision, and how he does not take the audience for granted. He does not underestimate their intelligence or their emotional intelligence or the emotional quotient. He just wants to deliver the best that he can in whatever new way that he can. Hindol from Chalchitra Talks asks, all-time favorite Tamil director. It used to be Mani Ratnam, but his last few movies, I don't know. I still love him. I still love his older movies and all that. But right now, it has to be Vetrimaran. And I think it's going to be the case for the next few years. Because Vetrimaran, if you just look at his filmography, even when he takes a commercial, like a hardcore commercial film like Polladavan, it is still so different from any other commercial movie of that particular time. He made a film about a guy losing his bike, and he made it so intense, and then movie after movie after movie, he's not made a single bad movie. Shaheen_Atham asks, which movie had a major impact on your life? Hands down, Rang De Basanti. It came out in 2006. I was around 15 or 16 years old, and all of us we were extremely excited seeing the trailer, and because of AR Rahman's music and Amir Khan, obviously everything he was touching was turning into gold. So all of us kids, teenagers, we decided to go for the movie. And after 2.5 hours of that film, each one of us were completely speechless when we were walking out of the film and going back to our houses. None of us could really even talk or process what we just saw. And I think if that film came out today, I don't think they would have allowed it to be released because of what happens in the film. But that film is one film that really impacted me. Like, it was one film that made me question a lot of things about what is going on around us. And on the other hand, it's also one film that really got me into movies. Like, before that, I used to enjoy movies for what it is, for entertainment, all of that. But after watching that movie, that was the time I think I subconsciously decided that someday we should be doing something related to films. And I think if it wasn't for Rang De Basanti, I wouldn't even be talking to you right now.